This is Inside with Outsiders. I'm Jeremy Asgari, and today we have Sarah Piacentini, a member of our Outsiders New York team and Director of Operations at Chelsea Pierce. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Jay.
We've been really wanting to have you here for a long time.
Yeah, she didn't want to come to Jersey.
She didn't want to go to Jersey when we filmed in Jersey. We're proud of Jersey, proud for Jersey over here.
I realized we did all this just to get you on the show.
Yeah, this is the only reason we're here at the North Face showroom was to get Sarah to show up.
Yeah, bring it on. I'm here finally. Getting to me to Jersey is very difficult.
Exactly.
So thank you.
Probably the same distance from your house here to where we were filming.
Yeah, just about. But there's a river between us.
Anyway, Princess, so glad you showed up. So I've known you for quite some time now. You know, I feel like COVID has erased years, and I can't grasp time somehow with COVID. But met you 6 years ago.
Yeah, just about like 5-6 years ago.
And I know about you, and a good amount about you, but I'm here to learn more. And the purpose of this podcast is to get to know you and the events that's transpired in your life, the notable events that have brought you to where you are in your life now.
Yeah.
So we also want to know where you're from. So let's talk about where you're from. I know you've moved around a bit, but I'll stop talking. You can go ahead and tell us.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Jay. I was born in Lancaster, California, which is Southern California. But then my family moved to Lake Tahoe when I was like 6 months old. Lived there until I was 9. We moved to Nevada for about like 6 months when I was in 4th grade. Quickly then moved to Rochester, New York, and which is where my mom's from, which is why we moved to Rochester. And so I entered the 5th grade in Webster, which is a suburb of Rochester. Went to high school there, and then now went to college, and then moved to New York.
Oh, so we're done. Thank you very much.
Bam, just like that. That's it. Really short.
So how old were you when you left California?
I was 9.
And do you have like childhood memories that stand out from your time in California?
Yeah, living in Lake Tahoe was...
Tahoe's gorgeous.
So gorgeous. Really, really beautiful. For a long time, I was so angry at my parents for moving because it was the most beautiful place. And just honestly, you want to talk about the outdoors. I grew up in the outdoors, hiking, camping.
Really, growing up?
Yeah.
Were your
skiing.
parents, your parents were big outdoors people?
My dad.
Okay.
My dad we moved to Lake Tahoe because he was a ski bum, honestly.
Really?
Yeah. He worked on the mountains. He was born in LA, was surfing all the time, and then would spend all his winters in Lake Tahoe and Mammoth Mountain. He was a photographer and was like an elite skier, but would go out with these guys and take photos of them and crazy tricks. He grew up doing some really, really cool stuff in Lake Tahoe. And yeah,
He must have gotten you on skis early on.
Very, very early, yeah.
How old were you when you first started skiing?
Oh, man, I think maybe 3 was maybe even earlier. But
Yeah, same with me. My
Yeah.
dad was a big skier, and he got me on skis at like 2 or 3, something like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
he would, every class that he could get me into, like one of his colleagues, because he was working on the mountains, he would just sneak me into the class. I'd just learn, spend my whole day going from lesson to lesson on the mountain. It was like my daycare was on the mountain. And then, we would go camping. We would go out on the lake. There was a meadow right down the street from our house that we would just go running around in. There was a tree house, I remember. Me and my brothers just exploring all the time.
How many brothers?
I have 2 older brothers.
Okay, so you're the baby of the family.
I am, like you said, princess.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I had no idea that you were so tied to the outdoors like that. I mean, as far as childhood goes, I mean, for me, skiing was a big part. So skiing is very nostalgic for me. But we never really went hiking and things like that. But I didn't know that about you. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And when did you start playing volleyball? Because you're a volleyball player too, right?
Yeah, I am. I've been playing volleyball since I was 13. I was in 8th grade. It was the summer between 7th and 8th grade. I spent that summer in Wyoming with my aunt.
Wow. Wait, well, your family all over the place. And plus, what's your family background?
I am Italian, Mexican, and Puerto Rican.
Okay, and who's what here?
My mom is Italian, Puerto Rican, and my dad's Italian, Mexican.
Okay.
And I have family all over the place. My dad's from California. My mom's from Rochester. They met.
How did they meet?
They met. They were both working at Magic Mountain, which is this like Six Flags, in Santa Clarita, California.
What was your mom doing there?
She was 18, just like working the summer there, like little gig. My dad was a photographer there, and they met and fell in love, and I guess the rest is history.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so let's talk about your move to Rochester. Or wait, was it from California to Rochester? Is that right?
Yeah, well, California to Nevada, quick stint in Nevada, and then to Rochester.
But why Nevada?
Nevada.
And it was funny because everybody from Nevada calls it Nevada, and everyone outside of that calls it Nevada.
Yeah.
My friend of mine is from there, and every time I say Nevada, he's like, "It's Nevada." I'm like, Nevada sounds better, but okay.
Yeah, it has a little charm to it.
Yeah.
But kind of random, honestly. My parents split up when I was really young, and my mom remarried. But it was kind of just this time to move, like time to leave. And my stepdad and his brother, they like bought property in Nevada and wanted to build a house there. And so they started to build a house there.
Did you enjoy your time in Nevada?
Absolutely not.
What is it like? I mean, it's like desert, I'm assuming.
Yeah, like to go from one of the most beautiful places, like very like not urban, but compared to Nevada, urban.
Right. What's Tahoe?
Yeah. And where we moved to in Tahoe, in Nevada, was this town called Crescent Valley, and there wasn't even like a street light.
Oh, wow.
My school had 30 kids in it, and it was K through 6th grade. And then my brothers had to drive like 2 hours to go to a school for 6th grade to like high school.
Wow, 2 hours away.
Yeah,
That's
it was
crazy.
They used to get up at 5 in the morning to make the bus. It was wild.
Yeah.
So yeah, we lived there from like October to like February, March, just that winter, and then we moved to Rochester.
Gosh, now what was Rochester like? This Northeast, you were in the West Coast the whole time. How did you feel about those winters? Rochester is cold.
Rochester is very cold, and we had some crazy winters, like no power, and we're like just ice storms.
You're describing like living in the 1800s.
It was crazy. Like I know. Well, no, because the storms were so bad that but it was cool. Like Webster was a really great place to grow up. The school district there was awesome. I made like some really amazing friends there. I had access to learn like to sports, which kind of ultimately became my life.
Yeah.
And really like took over. But it was just different than everywhere else I was prior to that. So it was definitely an adjustment because when I moved to Rochester, I moved in with my grandparents. And then...
And did you move in with your brothers as well? Was it brothers and grandparents? Okay.
Yeah. So it was my brothers, and then I was with my grandparents, my mom's parents. And then my dad was still on the West Coast, and then my mom eventually moved back to the West Coast as well. So I like grew up with my grandparents, like raised me from like 5th grade through high school.
Isn't Rochester a rough area?
In the inner city.
Is you asking if Rochester's the hood?
It is the hood.
Yeah.
Inner city Rochester, yeah. There's some parts of it that are a little little tough, but
That's
as
where you earn
everywhere
your
has.
street cred, right?
Yeah.
What's your street cred name? Pacheco? We've got a little small inside joke. The first person we ever interviewed on the podcast was Pat. He goes by Black Pat.
We love
and to describe Pat, he can't remember anyone's name. And he will call them the wrong name. And one of our trips that Sarah recently led with Pat, and actually Chris was on that as well, he, for some reason, decided to ask Sarah with full confidence, last name is Pacheco, right? Yeah. He called people the wrong name all the time. I have no idea why.
So confident.
The funniest time we had was one time we finished up with our Dykeman ride, and we're in front of Joe's Pizza. And these two guys that Pat recognizes start walking up, and Pat's like, "Hey, Mike!" And the guy looks at him. I swear to God, if you call me Mike one more time, we have a problem. It wasn't the guy's name.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway, sidetracked. Rochester, yes. So you moved there at 9, 10 years old?
Yeah. I was in 5th grade. I turned 10 in Rochester. Yeah.
Okay. What were your thoughts on Rochester? I mean, you were there with your grandparents. I know you're super tight with your grandmother. Tell me about your grandmother.
My grandma is so sweet.
I met her once, and she's like the quintessential American grandma, like so sweet.
That yeah, you nailed it on the head right there.
Yeah.
And when you met her, that was her first time in New York City ever in her life.
And she's from New York State, right? Rochester?
Yeah.
She's never been in New York City, really?
Yeah, that was her first time was when I moved here.
Wow.
And she came to visit me. So really cool.
What was that like?
It was so much fun. I brought her to this restaurant that I was working at the time, and we had dinner. It was like probably one of the nicest dinners she's ever had in like fine dining.
Right.
And then it was during Christmas time, so we came back. We decorated like my Christmas tree together in my apartment, and then I took her to see the Rockettes.
Oh, nice.
Which was so cool. That was my first time seeing the Rockettes, and
I've
for
seen
her,
it once. It's a nice holiday show.
yeah, it was really beautiful. And then we went to the top of the Empire State Building, which was awesome. She was like glowing. Like
Yeah.
I look back at the photos and just think about that experience, and it brings joy to me because
That's amazing.
to know that that's like a core memory and something that really once in a lifetime for
Yeah,
her.
I agree. I took my grandmother on a trip she's from France, and I took her to, this was a few years ago, and, you know, she's 90, how old is my grandmother? 93, I think? And she's 93 in May. And I took her to Paris and to Toulouse to see her sister, which I hadn't seen in decades, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was a great time hanging out with her, like spending time going to like places to eat, having a drink. She loves beer, she loves champagne, doing that. And then I don't know why this stands out when I think about it. The funniest part of this was like we ended up getting on the plane back to New York, and my friend ended up being a flight attendant on the flight. And she just gave us nonstop champagne. I was like, go tell my grandmother, you know, drink some water. You're going to be dehydrated. By the time we get off the flight, she's hammered. she's like, I have a headache. I'm like, no shit. Of course you have a headache. You're hungover. Like, what are you doing?
She got drunk and hungover on the same flight.
That was my core memory. Yours is so sweet. My grandmother's boozing.
Oh, that's hilarious.
You mentioned one of your earlier jobs in the hospitality. What jobs have you had since like throughout your life that stand out? And we just had interviewed Cedric. He's had really interesting jobs from working at Cat Stelly to a bank to being a plumber. What have you done?
Oh my gosh, I've had a lot of jobs actually. I started working when I was 15 at a garden store, and then so I would like water plants, help people with putting mulch in the back of their car or whatever. Yeah. And then I also worked at Cold Stone Creamery.
Oh, Cold Stone.
Yeah.
So you were the one like...
I was scooping the ice cream, and we'd throw it across the room and sing for tips. And then after high school, in college, I worked like at the gym on campus. I bartended. And then I was a sport management major. So I spent like all of my time either coaching volleyball. I worked for a professional lacrosse team when it was Major League Lacrosse. Has since been merged with the PLL, but Rochester Rattlers lacrosse team. And then I worked for the Syracuse Carrier Dome.
What were you doing?
For lacrosse, I did like game day operations. So I'd come in and like help set up, make sure the team was like stayed on schedule, like got them the stats in the locker room at like halftime, made sure they had their Powerade and their like water, whatever they needed, towels, etc. And then when I worked for the Syracuse Carrier Dome, I was like helping set up the basketball court because the Carrier Dome converts from football field to Monster Jam to basketball court, all of that jazz. So like the actual operations of the turnovers.
That kind of led you to your career now.
Yeah. So I like wanted to pursue professional or collegiate athletics and be in operations, just kind of the back end, the people that really make it happen, so to speak. And then after that, I worked for the ATP. That was like my senior year internship, which is the governing body for men's professional tennis. And that was just like a corporate office job. I did a lot though for them. I like edited their whole media guide and collaborated with them on like pretty much every department I helped with a little bit, like editing photos.
Yeah.
I like did all the
That was
W tax returns for players.
Really?
I did, yeah. And then like worked the Delray Open when that was happening. And then after that, I kind of leaned in after graduation into hospitality. I went and like was serving and bartending for the summer after graduation. That's when I like got into fine dining and that aspect of hospitality. Then I've worked a lot of like random events too. When my first time ever in New York City, I worked the AVP, which is professional volleyball. They had tournaments here, and I was doing stats for them. So sitting in the press box, just like recording an
while
ace.
in college or?
Yeah, it was 2016.
Because you played volleyball in college, right?
Yeah. So I was on the college, like our varsity team, but like in the summers, I was just hustling, and I was hustling all year round, but
Yeah.
in the summer I was like traveling and hustling. And my first time ever in New York City, I was working this tournament. It was at Pier 26, and it was really, really awesome experience. But I walked out of there hating New York. I was like, I hate this place. It smelled bad. I was lost all the time. And
Sounds like you hated yourself.
I was just, it was just, I had no one to like guide me. I was out here like all on my own trying to figure it out. And it was like, I was here for like 48 hours.
Okay.
So there wasn't enough time to like have the fun aspect of it. But then after graduation in 2018, I moved out. I was working in the Hamptons, in hospitality there, working for a John George restaurant. And then so many people there, because a lot of people from the city come out there. I met everybody, celebrities, like just awesome, really awesome people. And so many people just were like, you belong in the city. Like, you should go there. That's your vibe.
And did you feel like you did or not?
And I was like, I don't know what you mean by that, but maybe I'll go. And the season died
naive
down.
Rochester girl. The city, okay.
Sure. I was like, that was so nice. I've gotten a little hard. I've developed a little bit of a hard shell since then. But I moved. So after that, I ended up moving to New York because season died down. Took a day off. Took the train in. And I'll never forget this day. I just was like, let me just explore. Got off the train at Union Square, was walking around. I walked into maybe 5 or 6 restaurants and just like asked what it was like there, asked about applying. And every single place I walked into, I told them like that I was working for a John George restaurant and some of my experience. And every place offered me a job. And I was like, well, at least I can make money here. I can get like started. And I like kind of built up a nice little cushion. So I found a 6-week sublet. And that was like the perfect amount of time to see if I was going to like it or not. Week 2, I signed a lease.
Really? Week 2?
Yeah, I was like, this is it. I belong here. This is home. I honestly, New York City has felt more like home than probably anywhere I've been. And I've lived in a lot of places.
And so you plan on sticking around for a while?
I think so, yeah.
When did you start the path with Chelsea Piers? And was that your first job outside of college that wasn't hospitality?
Yeah. So I actually started at Chelsea Piers like the same 2 weeks that I started at the restaurant at Chemo when I was first working here. Because my last week in the Hamptons, one of my regulars there, I was like, oh, I'm moving to the city. And she knew that I was pursuing the sports industry. And she was like, have you ever heard of Chelsea Piers? And she connected me with someone there. I had an interview, and they were like, we don't have any jobs open because downtown had just opened, the fitness club there. But if you want a part-time job at our front desk, like,
You started at front desk? Really?
Yep. So I started at the front desk.
Where, at Chelsea Piers?
At the downtown club, yeah. I was at
Downtown
the front desk.
club.
Yeah.
Downtown Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm, downtown
Okay.
Brooklyn, yeah. And started at the front desk there. And for me, I was like, I wanted to be in like live and entertainment sports, like MSG or Barclays or Yankee Stadium or something like that. But I like quickly fell in love and just like kept pursuing that and a career at Chelsea. And within 5 years, actually less than that, grew from like being at the front desk to an MOD to operations manager at our flagship facility in Manhattan to now being director of operations and opening our most recent facility in Prospect Heights.
Are you director of operations for all locations?
For our Prospect Heights location.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
which is both fitness and Fieldhouse, so two separate Chelsea Piers businesses.
Okay, so
'Cause
what
it
do
gets
you
very
what do you
complex.
see yourself? I mean, is this something you saw yourself doing years ago, or is this just where it's taking you?
Yeah, I think I've kind of let the wind take me a little bit,
Yeah.
but just at the end of the day, I'm super passionate about the fitness and sports and wellness industry, and I've leaned into that a lot. And I've been lucky enough to be challenged so much at Chelsea because it's in its early stages of growth. So I've worn a lot of different hats. I've been able to so to speak, my fingerprints are all over that place. I've had a hand in a lot.
I mean, the layout is different. The way it looks is different. I mean, I know you had a part in all of that. The upgrades that were made during COVID were amazing. The locker rooms are great, so.
Yeah. So our flagship facility opened before I was born.
When was it? When did it open?
It opened in 96. I was born in 96. Yeah. I'm so sorry.
I love
they
that
started-
reaction
they
back there from Chris. Before I was born, I'm like, was Chelsea Piers open in the 70s?
No.
Like 96 when I was
So
turning
sorry.
17 years old.
So sorry, guys. But yeah, they started this. The history of Chelsea Piers is really cool. But
Yeah, it's got a longer history than you.
It does. Did you know that? I can't. But yeah, they started construction there like early 90s, and then they opened to the public.
I heard a little bit about, not that this is a episode of Chelsea Piers, but it's really fascinating their history and how they became about one with the funds, what they're doing before that, how they raised the funds for Chelsea Piers, and you probably know more after that. I just gotta.
Yeah, no, it is super fascinating. It was a big risk, and I can't really speak on what it was like then, but
Of course not, because you weren't born.
I wasn't born yet. But I do know that it was a big risk to open that facility because ultimately the owners wanted to open an ice rink because they were hockey players at Yale, and in New York there was only a couple rinks that closed down, and they were like, where are we going to skate? So they wanted to provide a place to skate, and the Hudson River Park Trust essentially was like, nope, you can't just have one pier, you have to take all four. And so they had to come up with a plan to
Oh, really?
to build out the rest, and then that's kind of how it was born.
I think they had great ideas and they nailed it. I'm a huge fan of working out at Chelsea Piers. I'm there multiple times a week.
Yeah, I definitely might be a biased opinion, but I think it's one of the greatest, best places in the city. It's so unique. It has the best views.
Yeah, but if you
Incredible
think about
space.
if you're going to be spending a lot of time in a gym working out, you want it to be not a dungeon.
Yep.
That's what drew me to it. When the big windows, I love the water, so seeing the water is calming. But also, more importantly for me, is the people there. There's a lot of people that are creatives, and a lot of the diversity in the people there is great.
Yeah.
As opposed to some other gyms in New York, which might be feel more exclusive and get people that come across a little more entitled and so on. I don't get that vibe when I'm at Chelsea.
No, that's because that's not our mission. It's to be a community.
And we partner with Chelsea Piers as outsiders. We do a lot of, I think this year we might be doing once a month collaborative adventure with them. So, and that's thanks to an introduction through you. Appreciate you.
Yeah, and our members absolutely love outsiders. So every time we've done an event, they have wanted more. So
yes,
give the
it's
people
been
what they
great.
want.
Exactly.
But yeah, exactly what you said right there is kind of, I think, why I love working there. And I come to work, and the people there that I work with and also that come in to use this facility are happy to be there, want to be there, and it just makes me want to be there and work hard and contribute to that atmosphere and environment. and help kind of facilitate that even more and more.
Well, you're definitely a huge part of the Chelsea Peers team, but you're also a big part of the Outsiders team. And I think that started during the pandemic.
It did. Yeah.
So what's your experience like with working with us?
It has been amazing.
What are your favorite parts? What are the things that really stand out? Any memories that when you think of Outsiders and your time out, what stand out to you?
I'm a big community person, and having just spoken about that, I think one of the reasons I love sports and the outdoors and just all of these different pieces is because it brings people together.
Yeah.
And people of every nationality, every age, every we talk about it. I can give the elevator pitch.
Age, race, religion, socioeconomic status, sexual orientation, all that stuff, which is the beauty of everyone coming together.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pulling from our welcome speech.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah. I've given it a few times.
A couple times, yeah. Yeah, you've given it a couple times too, right? Yeah.
But I think those things drew me to Outsiders. And during the pandemic, I was working on site every day or 5 days a week, but the city was so quiet, it was so dead, and having a group of people who shared the same passion and wanted to get outside and through this thing that was really, really hard was awesome. And we got through it together. Had people who we could lean into and just...
Yeah. I love the team. I love the fact that we'll even just have chats in a group chat, talk about where we're going on the weekend. I love that. And that's a true testament to chosen family more than community. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think that, these spaces, what you just said about family, and just you become a family with people and share a likeness and a bond and be able to have all these amazing experiences together. I think the bike rides during COVID were awesome, great experiences to get through something really tough, but so funny.
Bike rides to me, what's so funny? What was so funny you said?
Oh yeah, some of the bike rides were just so funny. I just remember having a lot of fun.
I mean, for me, I think about it, how there's certain points in your life, there's core memories that you don't forget. And that summer, I will never forget because we kind of got a break from life in a way, right? I mean, it was a tough time. It was super stressful for me in certain aspects, very stressful. But those bike rides were just, maybe what it was, I think I found myself being so present for the first time in a long time for long periods of time.
Yeah.
And it felt like a high school summer.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh my God. Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
It was such a breath of fresh air.
It was.
And we were 100% present. It was what we're doing right now, this is all that matters.
It felt like it was it felt like a scene out of a coming of age movie.
Yeah.
Where Lean On Me or The Sandlot or things like that, where we were all together, all summer long, riding bikes. Yeah. Through New York City streets. I mean, everywhere in New York.
Everywhere.
I rode my bike. I think I clocked on Strava 1,500 miles that summer. But there's a lot of rides I didn't turn on my Strava or forgot to turn on my Strava. So
I'll think back to it, just going up 6th Avenue with not a car in sight for miles.
Or down Times Square for that matter.
Yeah, exactly.
I went down the other day and it was a mob scene, and I put a little video up, and then I put a comparative video for 2020, and it was night and day.
And to think 4 years ago, that's where we were, and we were starting that kind of journey. But you said it earlier, the time gap from it feels like a blink of an eye. It's hard to adjust to time from what before and after that.
Yeah,
because it took so much. I almost said took something away from us, but I actually think it gave us something. It gave us kind of a moment. Yeah.
I don't want to say a lot of people lost loved ones, right? Yeah. So I don't want to say it was a blessing because it was terrible for people, but I think with everything comes with pros and cons, right? Mm-hmm. But let's get back to things about you. So what do you do for fun?
What do I do for fun? I play a lot of volleyball.
I know you play a lot of volleyball.
Yeah, I still play a lot of volleyball. Yeah. So I competed at collegiate, but now I still play. I play in a women's league. I'm run essentially the captain. I run it, everything, and we're going to adult nationals in May, and I play in a bunch of tournaments. I play as much as I can. It brings me so much joy.
Yeah.
It's like I fell in love with the sport when I was young, and it's brought so much volleyball changed my life.
In what way?
It just gave me opportunities that I would have never had if I didn't play. And it gave me access to people, it got me access into college, being able to compete and do what I wanted, like play at a high level.
Yeah.
But it got me out of my house, which was something I needed when I was younger. And then just connected me with, gave me kind of a new definition of family and friends. And it still has done that today. It's brings so much joy. It's so fun. You talk about being present. When I play volleyball, everything else shuts off.
I love having you play, because our flagship event, Rockaway Ride, we set up a volleyball net on the beach in Rockaway, and when we get there, it's like a beach party with the beach volleyball, and whoever's team you're on wins. So I was trying to get you on my team.
I know, it's so fun. Volleyball's also a lifetime sport. If you consider you can play it for your entire lifetime.
Right.
It's more a lower impact sport. You're not contacting with anybody. Right. And yeah, I play with people who are in their 70s and they're better than me because
Really?
they just have so much more kind of expertise.
Yeah.
So you just get more touches and you're able to control the ball, and it's really, really fun and strategic.
All right. My next question is for you. This can be taken professionally or personally, but what are your goals and dreams, personally and professionally?
Professionally, I think professionally, my professional goals lead into my personal goals, because I really just want to be financially independent. And I think that really pushes me to want to take on more responsibility, because I can earn it. I have more earning capability, but I also, just want to continue to learn, because I've always dreamed to open my own facility, my own volleyball facility, or basketball, or joint space. Mm-hmm. And so kind of the space that I'm in now and working in, and the path that I kind of took was to really give me all of that expertise, and so I can learn what it take to do that. And then too, personally, volleyball gave me a lot of opportunity, and big mission, personal mission, and I guess professional is to in turn provide that for other children and youth, and give them opportunities that maybe weren't available to them before. And yeah, so I think that's kind of pushes me, my professional goals. Yes, I want to financially be able to open up my own place. That requires me to have capital and learn and understand what it takes to open and run a business, and the craziness of managing a team, and the volatility of a facility and sports in general. But personally, I just want to be able to give back and have that community and create that community.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Great answer, and it all ties in. So, all right. What advice would you give high school you?
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
I have this quote in my apartment that says, "The day you plant the seed is not the day you eat the fruit." And I think I would just tell my high school self that, remind myself that, keep working hard. It'll come.
Okay. Seems like you always had a head on your shoulders, so there's not much you would tell yourself,
Yeah, I guess. But I actually quit my high school volleyball team.
Really?
Yeah, I was so upset. I was it was such a irrational decision, emotional decision, because I wasn't seeing the results that I wanted.
Results in what regard? Your personal growth, skill wise, or?
Yeah, I was working so hard, and I was a sophomore. I made the varsity team, and I was competing. I was performing really well, but I wasn't getting I wasn't playing in games, just wasn't really seeing kind of all of my work and results to it. And so I quit. But then I kind of thought I slept on it, and then I went back and I was like, Coach, I think I made a mistake. And he was a great coach. Struggy was awesome, but he actually made me apologize to the team and tell them all.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm if I just go back to that, just tell myself, stick it out. The work you're doing is going to pay off eventually, even if you don't see it right now.
Okay. Well, something we all have to remind ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you had your own podcast, what would you talk about?
Oh, man.
What would the topics be?
That's such a great question. I think I would probably hone in on probably women in sports. That might be more of a focus for me.
I have to say, I love the attention women's sports, especially basketball, is getting right now. Clayton Clark, obviously a huge reason for that. LSU team, all these different factors. I've never seen the popularity as big as it is now. It's crazy.
It is so amazing to see. Women's sports is on fire.
It is
right now. And honestly, I think it's just a contribution to the exposure that they're getting. And I actually think a lot of college athletics and college women's athletics success right now is because of the NIL and being able to pay college athletes. So essentially, college athletes can get endorsements through.
Yes, I wish.
I know. Yeah. It's just this is when I was in college in our sports law class. This was a huge topic of conversation.
I'm upset because when I was in college, I was a journalism media studies degree, and I wrote an article on why college athletes should get paid.
Yeah, this was.
And my friend who was the editor hits me a week of the article coming out and said, I forgot to submit it.
That's crazy.
Sorry, Bams. I was pissed. But I'm glad. I mean, I remember, I didn't play Division I basketball, but I played at Hunter College. And I remember I had to work. I worked 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. 2-3 times a week to make enough money to get to school, have books, but I didn't have enough money for lunch. It was hard.
Mm-hmm. I had the same experience as you. I worked 2 jobs. I was a full-time college athlete, full-time student, and I was paying for it all myself. I can't even imagine what having the NIL would have done, given me the opportunity to do. And that exposure, allowing athletes to be endorsed through different companies on social media, is just getting more people watching them.
Yeah, and they're multi-millionaires before leaving college.
Exactly, yeah. The top paying college athletes, the number 3 are all female right now. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Vijay Johnson, I think her name is. She also plays on the LSU basketball team.
LSU. How much Caitlin Clark's getting right now?
$3.1 million.
Wow. College student getting $3.1 million. That's, it's deserved. Let me get some of that.
I know.
Okay. You see the background, Never Stop Exploring.
Yeah.
North Face. So we asked this question. How do you incorporate exploration in your life? And how do you continue to foster the love for the outdoors?
Outsiders gives me that ability. But I think I actively seek to try new things. And be outside. I think Outsiders has given me the opportunity to leave the city because I don't have a car. I sold my car when I moved here. And so this is my chance to say, we're doing this adventure, let's go. And
camping weekends were a lot of fun.
Camping weekends. Yeah, camping weekends. Sardinia was, so awesome. And
when are you coming back on one of our trips like that?
I really love to go to Portugal.
I literally just posted it. I didn't post it like it's up there. I didn't announce it yet because there might be a few tweaks I have to make. But
Okay.
if you want to buy a ticket, it's online right now.
So I'm going to be in Vienna in August.
Jill's coming.
Oh yeah.
Jill, we have a little studio audience in here today, by the way, and one of our studio audience members is Jillian, our, I guess, I can't even give her a title, wilderness responder, lead
She's
guide. She does a lot for
everything.
us, and she's coming to Portugal with us. Yeah.
I want to go to Portugal.
Yeah.
Pack me. I'm coming. I want to go so
Yeah.
bad. But it would mean like I would go because I'm going Vienna, Croatia, and then like the start of the Portugal trip is when I'm finishing my Croatia trip.
Oh,
so
life is good. Look at that.
I'm
there.
like, if we're gonna do it, let's do it.
So I like your answer. Outsiders helps you facilitate continue your exploration in life,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good answer. I'll give you your $20 later.
Yes.
All right, this is one of my favorite questions. I hope you have an answer for us. What is your most embarrassing moment?
Oh my god, I feel like I have a lot.
Is there one that stands out? There's a couple of people when I answer that question, they're like, "Oh my god, this one!" Like right away, they know what's
This one thing. My most embarrassing moment. When I was in college, we did this trip. Our whole volleyball team, we went camping in the Adirondack Mountains. And I think that multiple things on this trip were embarrassing for me. But
Okay.
but we did this trip. We had to go, we stayed in this kind of house one night, and then we kayaked out to this island, and then we stayed in lean-tos on this island called Racket Lake. And they had this ropes course there.
Yeah.
So it was just like a team building activity, but I have a deep fear of heights. And
Do you? Because you did the ropes course with us and zipline and all that.
yeah, and I totally was hiding my fears.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that one wasn't too bad. This is, we did a Jacob's ladder, which is when you're at the gym, it's just this machine that you kind of climb on. But in the woods, it is this ladder that just hangs from the trees, and between each ladder, it gets further away
Yeah.
from each other, and it's you have to complete the climb with two people. But the whole thing is like shaking. It's just like woods on rope,
Yeah.
and you're hooked in. You're in a harness, but I like got 3 feet in the air and just started like crying.
Really?
And my girlfriend Courtney, who was on my team, was my partner. And God bless this woman for dealing with me this whole time. But I went every single time we climbed up each step, I would like be hysterical and in fear, like I can't do
Is there
it,
any
I can't
footage?
do it. And someone probably we couldn't have our phones on this
Okay.
trip. Thank God. But
Hey, I'm afraid of climbing. Hey, let me get on you some social media.
Yeah.
I know. Let's totally
Well, like a
videotape
great
Sarah.
friend recording you hysterical. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
But I was just my whole team. No one was there. Like maybe 2 people were there. Like the next 2 people who were going to go after us. But the whole time we were climbing this, Courtney was like supporting me. You got this.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, okay, I got this. I'd climb the next one and it'd start all over, and I'd be hysterical. But no one was there. And then everybody was standing there, like cheering, like trying to cheer me on and whatnot. But for me, it was like I was proud of myself, but that was so embarrassing. I felt embarrassed.
Being hysterically crying on a ropes course would be embarrassing.
Yeah, because that is like everyone's core memory from that trip is me hysterically crying for like 30 minutes straight while trying to climb this ladder.
Nice. But you did it, right?
But
when
I
you got on the
did it.
ground, did you keep on crying or would you like
I
rejoicing?
I think I was like shaking. My whole body was shaking. I was just like, in fear.
All right. Thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the last segment of the interview of the podcast. It's 5 rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So we know how that works.
Yep.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. What's your favorite city other than New York City?
Paris.
Ooh, why Paris?
Because it was the first place I visited that made me feel like I was in New York. Like it was my first comparable city.
Gotcha. Okay. Well,
The like excitement, like I know. But I loved it a lot.
I love Paris too. You hear her answer? Her answer's favorite city is Paris, outside of New York. We have a Parisian, another Parisian, I should say, back there.
It's beautiful.
If you could do any other profession, what would you do?
Ooh, I would be a coach.
Okay. Still in sports, obviously.
Yeah.
Not like a life coach, right?
No. No.
Okay.
No, I'd be
There's
like a
nothing wrong with
volleyball
that.
coach. I think I'd be a volleyball coach.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your vice?
My vice. Ooh. I have a really serious sweet tooth.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. When I said, what's your vice? Okay, disclaimer, during the pandemic, I see you pretty often. And every once in a while, I'll bring you cookies from Bang Cookies. And you kind of like, you welcome them with almost like a little, like, not upset, but like, why are you doing this to me?
I was like, ooh. But I love those. Honestly, I gotta get some of those.
Yeah,
Again.
they're no longer 2 blocks from my house. Thank God. I mean, I can't eat them anyway, but still.
Yeah.
All right. Sweet tooth. That's a lot of, like, I just thought to myself, if somebody were to ask me that question, that'd be one of my answers.
Yeah, I like was almost answered it with ice cream, but I was like, I just love everything sweet. I have such a sweet tooth.
Yeah. What's your greatest fear?
My greatest fear is, other than heights, I think my greatest fear is, in some way, like not achieving my dreams.
Failure?
Yeah, failure. I would say.
That's same.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So last question. What is your favorite food and what did you bring today? I see a bag. I feel like you went in on this.
So I brought 2 different things because when you told me to bring something, I really thought this question, like I was sitting with it.
Oh my goodness. I see one thing already. Nutty Buddy. It's like a Nutter Butter. But
The Nutty Buddy bar, yeah.
Nutty Buddy, okay.
This is, you want to talk about my like favorite candy?
That's it?
This is it.
I remember my brother used to love these things.
And they don't really like sell them in many places. I went to like 3 delis to find this today.
Really?
Yeah. And yeah.
Really? For Nutty Buddy?
Yes.
I see. But there you go.
I know. Yeah. But yeah, no, when you asked this question, I was like, really, like food, you want to talk about experiences, and I love food and bringing people together, but food is like, I'm like, what experience is that? Because when I think about what your favorite food is, I was like, what's more your
This sounds
experience?
like it's tied to a memory, right? Because this is like this is like.
I think all of my favorite foods are tied to a memory, which is why
what does this remind you of?
This is a childhood memory right here. When I lived in Lake Tahoe, we used to have a lemonade stand in front of our house, and it was along a bike path.
Yeah.
And me and my 2 brothers.
I see Julian's not, this is a Nutty Buddy.
Nutty Buddy bar. Greatest. So good.
You had these before?
We can have this right after this.
Yeah.
I'll save a bite for you. But we had a lemonade stand, and I would, every time I'd make any money from this lemonade stand, I'd go and buy.
Really? That was your
Buddy
vice.
Bar. That was it.
That's your vice right there.
This is still my vice.
Yeah.
That's it right there. And yeah, it's so, I don't know. It makes me think of my childhood, and like specifically going to the little corner store on my bike. I'd bike there, 50 cents, get a Nutty Buddy bar.
Yeah. I remember like talking about like unhealthy snacks. Well, I mean, I loved Twinkies back then, but also I think for 50 cents we can get a bag of chips and a quarter juice. It's just terrible. It's like water with sugar and food coloring and a bag of Doritos, or not even Doritos. It was like the bootleg nachos. What are they called?
Bootleg.
It's called nachos.
Yeah, just nachos.
The same company that made like Dipsy Doodles, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, what's this?
Okay, this is gnocchi.
Gnocchi,
So it's an Italian dish, pasta dish.
And is this something?
So, I mean, this one right here. So, growing up, my dad, we used to always cook together.
Okay.
And
Can you still throw down in the kitchen? You still cook?
time to time, yeah, I have to like really focus in. But yeah, I still can cook pretty well.
Your parents are you're Italian, Puerto Rican, and Mexican, but both of them are Italian, so that's a common denominator.
Yeah.
So you brought an Italian dish.
I brought an Italian dish. My dad, we would home make it together. So again, we talk about food being a memory. Gnocchi is like a very memorable dish.
I have a memory of you in Sardinia making your own pizza.
Yes.
I think you were the only one to get in there and make your own one.
Yeah. Then the whole thing, I got a video of it.
I have video of it too. Maybe
was
we'll
awesome.
finally get a video clip inside. I have that video.
Yeah, and my dad, we would make pizzas together too. Like I've made so many different dishes with my dad, and I think that's been like the one way I have felt connected to my heritage is through food.
I mean, it's a huge part of culture.
So yeah, because I didn't really grow up like with like language. Like I don't know Spanish, I don't know Italian. I didn't really grow up like for Italians like in a Catholic household. I didn't grow up in like doing all of these things that a lot of people do in like their cultures.
Yeah.
Except for food. Like food is really the way I have connected with my background and my heritage.
I'm out of all the ways. It's such a strong connection to culture.
Yeah.
I mean, food. I don't speak. I'm half Persian. I don't speak Farsi really, and I know I speak very, very few. My vocabulary is decent, but I can't put sentences together. But when it comes to the food, I know the food.
Yeah.
And if you know the food, it's like, oh, you get a pass.
Yeah. Yeah, and
so let's see what you got here.
Yeah, so this is some
that's
gnocchi.
Everything that I can't eat, but it looks good.
I know. I'm so sorry.
No, don't. This is for you. This is your favorite food, not what I can eat. It's your favorite food.
But
I mean, when we first started, this was about what Jeremy eats.
Yeah, it was. Now it's.
It's like you can't bring that.
Not.
So
it was about my lunch. Like, what am I eating today? What did you bring?
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna have a bite. Let's see.
All right. Let me try to show the camera. Is this on camera? Can you see it?
This doesn't look the greatest right now.
I mean, it's a little cold, but it looks good.
Yeah.
So what's gnocchi? Isn't gnocchi made out of potatoes?
Yes, it's made out of potato.
So I actually could eat. Probably flour in it too, though, right? Yeah.
It's. I mean, like when you.
I don't want to take the risk.
When you make you roll the potato. I mean, you're rolling it in flour to just keep it.
Plus, there's dairy anyway. It looks really good.
That's true. I would prefer it with a red sauce.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Myself.
Ooh. Rabo is oxtail. So Chris is Puerto Rican.
That'd be really good. Yeah.
And that would be great, like shredded in the. Talk dirty to me.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Great way to infuse different cultures right there.
Yeah, I think that's great when you get. I mean, they're all like comfort-rich foods, right? It's not so refined, but that's something I would eat 100%.
Yeah, my family has a cookbook, the Piacentini cookbook, and like one page is gnocchi and the next page is enchiladas and the next page is something. So it's a mix of Mexican and Italian food.
Yes.
That's my dad's side made that cookbook, and really, really cool.
I mean, those are two great foods. I mean, if you talk to people about what their favorite foods are, you're gonna get a lot of Italian, you get Mexican, French, all kinds of cuisine, Japanese, Persian, maybe. Anyway. So is this something that your grandmother used to make, or your
my dad? Well, my so my grandmother, like my dad grew up making it with my grandmother and like their family. It's like generational
it's been passed
experience.
down. You gotta pass it down if ever you have a family or nieces and nephews. Pass it down to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's a very fun experience to make homemade gnocchi.
I think just cooking different cultures is fun, even if it's not your own. I like it. I think we're pretty much wrapped up. You have anything else you want to tell the camera?
Thank you so much.
No.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you for being on the show finally. Right?
Yeah.
We had to leave Jersey.
Thanks for coming to Manhattan. Exactly.
Well, I mean, she wasn't invited until recently, so.
Yeah, thanks for coming to Manhattan for me.
This is Sarah. I'm Jeremy. That's Chris. Stay tuned for the next episode.